Hey, good morning. Welcome to Agenda Review. We'll be looking through agendas for Wednesday, May 1st, 2024. Commissioners Meitzner and Lopez have some pre-arranged meetings. They might try to join us here on Zoom if they can get out in time. And Manager Stoltz also had a pre-arranged meeting. So Mr. Kaufman is going to run us through the agenda.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. I'm also going to cover the comms part. So county announcements, we've got two different items. ComCare staff will be there to acknowledge Mental Health Awareness Month, and so they'll get that kicked off. And then we've also got an aging employee that's going to be recognized for Ameritrust recognition as a health champion. So that'll be nice to see.
Yeah.
We've got two sets of minutes, one from the en banc and then from the regular meeting of the 10th. And then we go into another series of proclamations. April is clearly proclamation month, and we.
You mind if I pause you for a second? Are we okay with how many proclamations? I mean, all of these are important proclamations. They're all great and I enjoy it, but having, what is this, 4 on the same day? I mean, how do you feel about that?
I actually asked our manager after the last time we had 4 of these. I would like to see no more than 3. And I'd actually like to see a sponsor identified that's an elected official or a management representative or a director, someone within the county organization that would be the sponsor of these, that takes responsibility to say why this is important. And for these resolutions or proclamations that happen every single year, routinely, I would like to slow those down a little bit. I like the proclamations to be special. I think the routine ones, in my opinion, if it's about county staff, I would probably make an exception to that. But for a lot of these community proclamations that happen seemingly every year, I would like to maybe set up a policy that says we don't do that.
Okay.
Well, we only have 3 meetings a month.
Yeah, I know.
And, there's a lot of these things like the ones we're going to go through. There's special week for that every year, special month for some every year. So it's kind of hard to pick and choose which ones of those are ones that we wouldn't want to do.
Oh, I know, and they're all important. I think once we get into a space where we don't have to take a break for 10 minutes to go out into the hallway to take pictures and things like that, I think I maybe wouldn't have as much heartburn over it.
Once we have a real building, we can do like we used to.
Yeah.
We don't really go out. Right now, the way it was set up, I don't see any way that we can do it.
I just wanted to take everybody's temperature on the number of proclamations. Sometimes we only have 1, sometimes we have 4 or 5. So just wanted everybody's feedback. I appreciate it.
One more thing on that. Again, like for example, this time we have 4. One of those is Corrections Officers Week. I would focus on our staff. I think that's important to recognize them. But 3 of these are very routine. We've done these, I think, year after year after year. And I guess I would just say, to maybe make some comments from the bench and do a receive and file. Are these folks, I guess I'd have a question. Are these folks actually like framing these up and putting them on the wall somewhere? Or is it just going to a stack of paper, ultimately thrown away? I don't know what they're doing with the proclamation. This is about bringing community awareness to an event or to something important to the community. We can do that maybe with just some commentary and a receive and file potentially. A presentation from someone might be just as effective. I don't know that the proclamation is the only way to do that.
Okay. Appreciate that feedback. So,
Okay. We'll get to the appointments. We've got 2 appointments to the Emergency Communications Community Advisory Board, and then there is a district or Citizen Advisory Board appointment for Commissioner Howell. Then we get into the new business, and there is a public hearing related to the updated national electric codes. So you have an opportunity to open that up. And then we have a planned unit development agenda item, and we've got Scott here to talk about it if you've got questions.
Scott, your briefing, I think we're having some optional briefings on this, correct? That's correct. Okay, just making sure. Okay.
We've got an agenda item that will allow for further discussion about the policy related to community programming funding. And then we've got Brent that will do the quarterly financial report. And finally, we've got Board of Bids and Contracts, and it's a busy bids and contracts of 10 different items on that list. Then we get into the consent agenda
Please.
items. We've got two public works items, $240,000 cost on that first item, and then there's a request for an increase on the CIP of about $90,000 on item P. Item Q is a contract between ComCare and Overflow to support Zero Reasons Why. And there was a nice story on Cake this past week about the impact that program has in high schools with kids. So I think it's a really good program. We've got a couple of donations, one to the Department on Aging, and then item S is a donation of some items to ComCare, the ComCare Crisis Program. We've got a resolution that adopts a new IT security training policy. We have a request for increased budget authority for technology reserve transition or technology reserve purchases. And then we've got a staffing table change for the MABCD, and that is transitioning to retire. Those positions are held now by city employees. And what we've done over the duration of the creation of MABCD is, as the city employees retire, then those positions transition into county employees. And then we've got some the routine business items on there as well. Any questions about anything on the EOCC agenda?
Yeah, I have some questions on the public hearing. It says that we have, we're going to open and close the public hearing, and then we will recommended action is to approve the resolution. That means we're adopting the NEC code. Is that correct?
I'll let Rusty.
That would be the intent, is for the commission to adopt the code unless the commission elects to take other action. Obviously, you have the discretion to take other actions. Labor is here.
Sorry.
So I've got some concern about at least a couple of aspects of what's being proposed here. I don't know if I need to wait till Wednesday to bring this up or talk about it now.
Legal counsel's here.
And Commissioner Howell, I think to your question, it's fine if you bring it up now. I would suggest also bringing up any comments or concerns you have on Wednesday that may be additional towards it, but it's fine if you want to talk about it now.
Well, just for clarification, so there's two parts of this code I'm a little concerned about. One part deals with the issue of we're going to be allowing, if you will, copper clad aluminum wiring in Sedgwick County. One of my questions is this for residential and commercial? Is this for any type of electrical branch, regardless of is this for 10 amp, 15 amp, 20 amp circuits? Is this for outlets and lighting? Or is this reserved to things like stoves, dryers, and air conditioning condensers? What's the intent of this copper clad aluminum wire?
And I'll have Chris Nordick come up to talk to some more details, but it is residential only, and it is for the 10 amp, correct? The lower level circuits, the LED lights, those lighting circuits, they do not draw much amperage. So this is an industry standard now, national standard now, just to allow cost savings and allow less of a breaker, less of a requirement there.
So this will be using 14-2 wire. It's a copper clad aluminum wire. 14-2, that's two conductors with the ground, hot and neutral with the ground. And it's copper clad aluminum. Does it require special breakers and outlets, and I should say not outlets, special breakers, special switches, and special lighting components because it's copper clad? It uses a regular.
No, it doesn't. The clad is the copper cladding part of it is the termination point. That's why they've cladded that aluminum.
Okay. Are other jurisdictions doing more than just the 10 amp wire, 10 amp lighting circuitry, or are they doing it?
Again, this is not on the market yet. This is a future option for electricians to install a 10 amp circuit for low load circuits for future. So devices haven't been created. The wire's not on the market yet. Nobody's using it, but it's coming. So the code making panels wanted to make sure that everybody had the option to use that, so they had to create all the criteria for it.
Well, I guess I have some concerns about this. It seems like it's, I'll just say this, the, NEC code at one point did allow for aluminum wiring in houses and it didn't turn out so great, right? I don't know that I feel much better about this. The problem is expansion and contraction of the actual metal conductor. It's not so much the clad. The cladding is actually very, very thin. It's very extremely thin. So the conductor itself still expands and contracts, which creates, if you will, contact points which are not tight, and that creates arcing. So I don't know where this has been used and how long this has been out there, but I'm all concerned about seeing this happen in Sedgwick County as an experimental thing. I feel like we're not ready for this yet.
Well, I'd like to add, Mr. Commissioner, that this is all tested. It's going to be tested by, a testing laboratory, a nationally recognized testing laboratory. So if they're going to put this product on the market, it's going to be allowed to terminate under those devices. So again, those devices have not been developed yet. All of this is being developed now.
Okay, so with this in mind, theoretically, this lowers the cost of materials.
Yeah, it's not.
I think you have probably a slightly less dependable product in the home. Maybe it's fine, maybe it's not, but I'm a little concerned about the life and safety part of this, basically, and that what is driving this forward is a cost savings motive, if you will. So I don't know about, again, we're saving potentially some money in materials, but you have what I consider to be a lesser quality product in the home.
Well, and to clarify on that, Commissioner, and to make sure all understand, this is not a local amendment. That is a change in the national code. It's simply that we are not amending that out is our proposal at this point. So if we were to change that, that would be the change, is that we remove it. So there would be no requirement in any way to use this. It would just be an allowance when those devices come to market to use them.
All right, well, I'll move on to the next part of this. I'm not so sure I'm ready to jump on board that idea. The one I'm really more concerned about is the mandate for the whole house surge protection devices. And as I've done work on this, I feel like there's been a lot of confusion in the discussion that frankly should not have been part of the discussion. These are actually very simple. Just to be clear, they pull off the two hots within the panel. Most of these, I know that there are the Eaton ones. We saw the gentleman that came to my office the other day that proposed, if you will, a breaker space device that would be installed in the panel in place of a breaker. And that would be able to be monitored by simply opening the door of the panel to see the status of that device. But the majority of these that are on the market right now are designed to be installed inside the panel behind the removable front. In other words, you have to unscrew the front to see the device. I don't know what the code is actually going to require at this point, but to me, that is a concern because I think it provide, number one, they're not cheap. There are some less expensive ones around $75 retail. I don't know what the wholesale price would be, but I would expect an electrician would have a markup on that device of some sort. Professionally installed and inspected, I would not expect that to be $75. It's going to be more than that. Plus, you have to add the cost of the breakers. If there's a panel that doesn't have enough spaces, you have to enlarge the panel itself to accommodate for the additional breakers is needed for this to work. And really what this is consumer protection. It's consumer electronics protection. It's not about life and safety. It's more like insurance. It might save your TV. It might save some devices around your house, but it is not necessarily going to provide a higher level of life and safety for the occupants of that home. So this is a cost that I believe is, again, I would recommend it. I think it's a good idea. I don't think it should be a mandate. And I know there's been some discussion about the ground fault circuit interruption receptacles. I called Leviton this morning, guys, talked to their technical experts, and they agreed with me on my perspective that the modern devices that they sell, if they test and reset correctly, they will interrupt power out. They cannot pass power out if they are in a fault mode. And if there's a surge that causes them to not work correctly, they will, in other words, if they no longer test and reset correctly, in a surge situation, it could damage the ground fault circuit interrupter, but they will not pass out current. They said that video that you sent to me was an old video. That video was that blog that I found the blog. That blog was created in 2013. The video is at least that old. That's an old device. It could be that those old devices maybe didn't have that feature, but the ones they sell today actually create the leak to ground. So if they test correctly, they are in fact going to, again, if the surge happens and they are damaged, they will not pass current. I actually recorded the conversation. I'll be glad to share it with you if you want. At the end of the day, I don't believe that this actually creates a life and safety protection. What this does, my opinion, is it gives a false sense of safety. I don't think this is it's ready for being mandated. If we are going to mandate these, I don't think we ought to do it in one step. But if we are going to mandate them, they ought to be visible. And right now, I don't think the code requires them to be visible. Second of all, I don't know that we ought to be mandating these at all because I don't think it's a life and safety issue. It's an insurance on electronic protection, if you will, on devices around the home, like TVs, for example. So it's not a bad idea. It's recommended, much like I recommend a fire extinguisher in the kitchen. That might save a life, but I don't think these SPDs are going to save a life. So I'm not ready to mandate this in our code.
And you are correct, Commissioner, that the conversation specific to those devices deals with older devices. That's what the industry's brought to us, and they felt that this would add an additional protection there. To ensure for all that we clarify this is in the national code, so this is us not amending it out. So this is not us creating a local amendment. Last cycle, we did amend this out, and it was exactly as you described, Commissioner. We felt that it was not a life safety issue, that it was merely equipment protection. We were not the only jurisdiction to do that. The NFPA, National Fire Protection Agency, has put out information since stating that they disagree with the jurisdictions that did that was not the intent of their code. They do consider it life safety, and that so many of the devices in a home now, to include smoke detectors, I should say, and have circuit card, et cetera, have circuit cards in them. So that is why in this case, our industry, our board, and our staff felt that it was a safety item and that it should remain.
Well, again, I think that the code should say if you're going to install an SPD, they should dictate how it's installed and how it's inspected and how it's supposed to operate. Those are all reasonable things. I don't think we ought to mandate that they're installed in residential properties. Again, it's insurance. It's about consumer grade. It's consumer electronic protection is what this is. It's like insurance. But I'm very concerned about affordable housing. And again, if you get a licensed electrician to install this, even if they get it for less, they do this on the front end when they're constructing a home, it might be less money, but it's still a cost. It is still hundreds of dollars added to the price of a home for something that the consumer may not even realize is installed. And by the way, because they don't protect against lightning, just to be clear, they're protected against surges that are above 5% of the nominal voltage, if you will, but they have limits. And because of the surges may happen in some areas more often, they eventually do wear out and quit working, which is why they have a status light on them. But if there's a status light that goes out, they're no longer working correctly, most consumers would have no idea, because it doesn't, unless you notice it, it's not going to, it might be noticed on a home inspection or by an inspector that was there to look at the panel, for example. But generally speaking, the consumer's not going to know, the homeowner's not going to know that this device has stopped working. And then to replace one in an existing panel, to update that, or to install one in an existing home, I think the costs are going to be much more expensive. So the front end cost for a home under construction may be a little bit less, but it's still hundreds of dollars. At the end of the day, I'll just tell you, the guy at Leviton said, I asked him a very simple question. I said, do you believe that these surge protection devices are there to protect consumer electronics? Or are they there to protect, if you will, human life? And he just said, no, they're for electronics. I thought, well, the guy at Leviton was very clear. So I don't know who says it's life and safety, but make the argument, please. I don't know who's saying that. I believe it's protects your TV and your microwave, and potentially it may not even protect them. Again, if you have a lightning strike near your home, it may not protect it at all. I don't like regulations that create added cost to affordable housing. That's what this is. I don't believe this is about life and safety. This is about insurance. I think we should recommend them. And I think the code should speak to them, how to install them if and when you want to put one in. Is it required by our code? I don't think it should be.
Understand, Commissioner. These are new houses only, again, to ensure that all understand that. So only in new construction. Right now, about a third, based on the data we have, about a third of the houses that have been built over the last 2 or 3 years in Wichita have installed these. So they are out there. We are seeing them.
The nice thing to have. Let me just say one more thing. You just said new homes. They were very clear that the old, like 20-year-old ground fault circuit interrupter receptacles may not have been the same type of test circuitry we see in the modern ones. But today, he said it is not possible for that to happen. He said it cannot happen. If they test correctly, then they're working. And if it's damaged by a surge, it will not pass current through the socket or through downstream receptacles. It cannot happen. He was that emphatic.
I've had engineers been emphatic before.
Well, we appreciate it. Should be a fun discussion. And we might have some follow-up questions. Shoot you an email directly on what those things look like. So appreciate your work on this.
And Chairman, if I may, we are meeting based on the renewed discussion. We're meeting with WABA again Monday afternoon.
Okay.
We've spoken with them several times on this and the other aspects of the code, but we felt it important that we reconvene based on the depth and level of discussion.
Would you be willing to follow up an email and kind of update us on that meeting with Wes and the gang?
Absolutely.
Yeah, Chairman. That's helpful.
We
Thank you.
really want to do that. We can do the hearing, but I don't know if we have to do the adoption of this so quickly. Just a thought. I'd like to maybe push off the adoption of the code. Give us a little time to respond to some of this concern.
That would be obviously Justin's area of expertise, but
If that's the will of the board, that's what you could do, certainly.
I'll just say this. I did call Wes on this and again, I said, sounds to me like you guys are on board. He goes, well, we had a nice discussion. I said, and here's my concerns. And after I shared my concerns with him, he's like, well, I don't know if this is a good idea. And he wasn't so sold on the idea. So again, I just present this as saying, I'm very concerned about the affordable housing aspects. If this provides life and safety, I'm more likely to jump on board. But if it's not about life and safety, it's about insurance, I'm less supportive of that. And when I described my concerns with these two things with Wes, he seemed like he was equally concerned. So thank you.
Well, Chris, let us know if it's a conversation with Wes. Okay, Tim, go ahead.
We do have a fire agenda and it begins with minutes. There is one new business item. It is a Board of Bids and Contracts item related to transitioning from gas powered to electric powered Jaws of Life field equipment for fire department. And then in the consent agenda item, we've got the IT training policy that was also in the regular agenda. And then we've got an item that will create budget authority to pay for that bid board agenda item as well.
Yeah.
That's it on the fire agenda.
Questions on fire? We do have an executive session planned, correct? Okay. Executive session will also be planned for Wednesday. Okay, anything else on agenda review? Questions? Okay. I think we're good to go then.
Thank
Ben, you did an exceptional job.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, everybody have a good weekend.